Well, I thought about, I mean, it was kind of like everybody is in the new year right now and doing resolutions and eating better. And
the gyms
healthier.
must be packed.
Yeah. Jenny Craig, people are out the door. You know, people that smoke, stop smoking, right? New Year's resolution, I'm going to quit smoking.
Sure.
And what do? They usually end up putting on weight, right?
Right.
So it would only make sense that if you smoke, it helps you stay thinner. So thinner. Yeah. Is that
thinner is even thinner than thin.
Yeah, you can't even believe how thin that is. That's how thinner it is. If that makes sense, then it would make sense that if you smoke, you would lose weight, right? Because if you stop, you gain weight. So, but I don't really want to have a cigarette because in my hand all the time because I'm multitasking. You got to do that. So I just decided to do the patch. That's for my resolution, and I'm gonna work myself up to like 3 patches a day.
Right.
But I figure I start with that.
Speaking of smoking and losing weight, have you seen the kiosks at the mall for smokeless smoking?
What?
What's the point of that?
I mean, because secondhand smoke, that's like just recycling right there. You could use, instead of using 2 cigarettes, you just do 1 and breathe all the rest in, right?
I don't know if it's supposed to make it, because I don't know, where you live, maybe you can smoke anywhere you want to go, but in California you can't. So you basically never smell smoke in California.
That's right.
Anywhere you go. I remember on our honeymoon we went to the East Coast. We were like in Boston and Maine and Vermont. We'd be choking in restaurants that were like 8 feet tall ceilings, like short ceilings. People lighten up the whole time they're eating. I'm like, really? And I'm like, John, I can't even smell my food because it was so thick.
Well, maybe they didn't have enough money to buy the smoked salmon, so they were trying to smoke it themselves.
It was 18 years ago, so it could be different now.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah. I think Ron had warned me that that side of his family like smoked a lot. But I mean, you are an enclosed area. I mean, it's a big basement, but with low ceilings, right? And I'm not kidding you. Like, there was probably 50 people. Like, 49 were smoking. Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh.
They're giving it to their babies. You try.
Yeah.
You try.
They didn't even have to. I mean, the ceiling, the 6 inches of, from the ceiling up was all just smoke.
So, the good thing about that is your baby gets a second hand, which is great. But then you could just roll your own little ones, and they could get used to the feeling of holding it. They don't suck their thumb.
True.
They just
hold a little bit of a cigarette.
You sort of nurse on the sick.
And then that way, when they're older, when they're like 6 and 7, and they're smoking their own packs, their body is used to the nicotine. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I was a kid, like, my brother and sister were older than me, so they were already off to school. So I would go get like the Mr. Salty long stick pretzels, and I'd stick them in my pocket, and then I'd light up and walk around. But you had to like nibble off either end of the pretzel to really get the inhale of it. Do you know what I mean? To get the air to suck through, so it really looked like you were smoking cigarettes. That was my lighter. Because you can never get a lighter on the first try. You had to do it a couple times.
Those Bic lighters are the worst,
I'm like,
aren't they?
Dang! I'm all shaking it.